You all remember that throwback, Lil Wayne? What's up, guys? This is episode 4. TBA podcast. We got an upgrade to our background. You like it? It's cute,
It's,
courtesy of Moshmo over there.
oh, please don't even say that. It's pretty basic, but yeah, we're looking pretty
That
sexy here, brother.
that's why I said it.
We're bringing sexy
Okay.
back.
Sexy back. Yeah. Justin is in a new movie on Netflix, by the way. It took
Yeah,
him, yeah, it took him not even a month of Instant Reunion to go back to doing his own thing. No, I'm
really.
kidding. I'm being a salty bitch. It's okay. The movie's pretty good. I'm almost done with the film. It's called Reptile. Check it out on Netflix. Free plug for you, Justin Timberlake. You're also free to join us on this podcast to talk about your 25-year, 30-year career, starting from Disney, and now you're doing Trolls, which is, I believe, I don't know who owns that, but we'll see. In Sync Reunion, you already know about that. What you don't know about, maybe, is that NBA star, Philadelphia player Kelly Oubre Jr., Philadelphia 76er. Did you know this? He got hit by a motor vehicle as of the
Damn.
time of this recording last night in Philadelphia.
Wow.
Um, the update is that he has a broken rib and some scratches and cuts, but he will make a full recovery, so that's good. My question is, how do you hit an NBA player?
If you're not trying to, I think is the question,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So the
Yeah.
suspect, I don't know as of the latest is we haven't found the suspect. There is a funny video going around with like I guess it's AI that they created with like there's a news anchor on KV3 and NBC. I think
Yeah.
that's in Pennsylvania. He's like, I believe we do have a sketch of the potential suspect, and it's a sketch of James Harden. Now, James Harden, anyone who doesn't watch NBA, he's been in 4 different teams. He's worked his way out of 4 different teams in less than 2 years. And now he's on the LA Clippers. His last team was the Philadelphia 76ers. And he just got that trade like last week. So now he's on the Clippers, and the Clippers haven't won
Mhm.
many games since his arrival. Hopefully that'll change. But anyway, they pinned it on him. All jokes aside, hope he's back because he's been having his best one of his better seasons. I think he's been in the league. Kelly Oubre, he's been in the league
Yeah.
now like 15 years, and he's
Uh-huh.
been on some great teams. His numbers have kind of waned here and there, but this year he's been putting up some good numbers. His last like highlightish year was with the Warriors. I remember he was on their team for a minute. But yeah, hopefully he's good and ready to cut back on the court. These Sixers, man, they're doing well, but they're as far as like player drama, some of it is warranted, some of it isn't. It's just they don't have the luck. Even you can go back. Speaking of AI, you can go all the way back to the 2000s. They had Allen Iverson on that team, and he was an amazing player. But again, off the court drama, all of this, all that. Some of it wasn't his fault. Some of it was, pinned on him. Nonetheless, I'm not a Sixers fan. I just I want to see a team that has potential to do well because I do like Embiid, who's their big man, and he was the MVP last year, and I think he should cap that off with a championship. Um, what do you think of this collision on the?
Yeah. I personally, I think, and I hope you can agree with me that um, anybody over 6.5 feet tall shouldn't be riding a motorcycle in the first place. I think that is really the most important takeaway here. Is
So here's the thing. I think Kelly was walking when he got hit by a. It
oh,
was a car that hit him. But nonetheless, yet I think you're getting to the point where tall people should not be getting hit.
cool.
But
In general, I'm sorry. I thought he was riding. I thought he was riding a motorcycle when this happened.
my understanding is that he was just walking,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, I guess he's a humble player. He doesn't he walks.
He walks. That's very nice. It's nice to see.
Yeah,
He's trying to stay in shape, right? He's in the
right.
NBA after all, so he's going out for these walks. Maybe he had a heavy dinner, and someone tried to take him out. This is a hit. I'm sorry. I'm going to call it right now. This was a hit. How tall is he? He's
He's
probably
uh he's probably closing in on 6'8", 6'9".
yeah. So
So
like, how do you? I'm almost 7 foot tall human walking on the side of the road. How do you hit them with your vehicle and then drive off? That's the
right?
other thing. That's the other thing. Because
That's
you're
that.
you're
Yeah.
you're going to be the only car with a giant long dent going from the hood right through till halfway up the roof of the car. Because that 7 foot tall human smacked that pretty hard, I bet. So
I know he's 27 years old. He is. Uh, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a straight human being, but he's a good looking guy. Uh, I won't shy away from complimenting another man for his looks. Uh, it's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that. He's a small forward, shooting guard. He weighs 203 pounds. He's 6'7".
yeah,
Um, he was drafted. Yeah, he was drafted in 2015. Okay, so he hasn't been in the league that long. But Kelly were hit by a car. What I see here right now is he has a broken rib when he was struck by the vehicle that fled the scene Saturday night,
yeah.
last night. Wow.
And where was this? What city was this in?
Philly.
Philly. That's right.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
said that. Philly. And I was thinking, I love Philadelphia. It's a fucking gorgeous place. The
yeah.
architecture is amazing in Philly. But yeah, so if you're in Philadelphia and you see a vehicle driving around with a 7 foot long dent going down the middle, please call the cops. Please call the cops.
Please let your local law enforcement know.
Yeah,
For the sake of your team winning a championship, you should do it.
absolutely.
Yeah. So there you go.
So
That's yeah.
so there's yeah, so that's one sort of bust. Here's another bust. I am those of you before we had the background here, you'd see my collection of toys that I kind of have around my room here. Huge Marvel fan. Up until about a month ago, was very excited, looking forward to the Marvels movie coming out, which released on Friday. It was an absolute bust.
Really?
And yeah, it was a bust. They were projecting because the last Marvel movie that came out, or the last Captain Marvel movie that came out, this was, I think it was what year would this have been? 2019. So 4 years ago, it opened. Its opening weekend was 153.4 million in business. Um, this weekend they brought in not even a third of that for this opening 4 years later, and a lot of people are saying it's because of the boycott of Disney. I know I canceled my membership a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's a major boycott that's hitting Starbucks and Disney and a lot of other organizations, and this was the latest hit. So the Marvels movie had a bit of a tank of a weekend. So are you a fan? Are you a fan of the Marvel universe, uh, superheroes, DC, anything like
Listen,
that? Or am I?
I it admit I have been a fan. I will admit though I have not been keeping up with the phases as of late, and whatever phase they're on now, or uh whatever hero turned on another hero. I think there was a grace period. All the boycott stuff aside, even before that, I feel like there was a grace period with it as far as adults watching Marvel. I I feel like it adhered to the adult audience, but I feel like it's getting more and more watered down to become more of a kids thing.
Oh,
Now,
really?
I think so. I
Hmm.
think it's not dark enough, and I maybe that's where I'm losing my interest on it. When Iron Man was got killed off, I feel like a lot of other adults
Hmm.
also kind of left the phases. I think my favorite Marvel film was is probably a tie between Iron Man 2
Hmm.
and now this is funny because it's not part of the phase, but Deadpool I really
Yeah.
liked. See
Yeah.
now, but obviously he's not welcome in this in the phases unless he's they brought him in somehow. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I think Spider Man was weak.
Yeah. Spider-Man
I
was weak. Yeah.
I just felt like it's first of all, you got the politics in the background between Sony and Disney trying to
Hmm.
fight for the rights and all of that. I think they have to figure that out before they try to make money from the people. Like they gotta be like, listen, we have to be in sync with our with our ideas, or else it's just not going to work. And that's why I thought they did Venom. wrong by doing that, because Venom I
Yeah,
thought could have been such a great film, but it ended
right.
up not doing well.
Yeah, it
Uh,
seemed to be a bit of a miss, right? They absolutely, I think, missed the mark on that one.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I now if you ask me if I were to pick right now, I thought the last Suicide Squad by DC was amazing. Um,
Mhm.
that was a great film. I thought, and it's because they didn't water it down. They let it stay adult. It's comedy. It's dark. Um, it's John Cena.
Mhm.
It's you got a lot of interesting POVs that I enjoyed particularly. So,
I
but yeah,
just find I just find DC to be. See, I used to love DC and Marvel. And I still do, right? Like I still love the classics and all that. But I find as I'm getting older and a little bit more woke, um, DC is a little toxic, man. Like take a look at your heroes, right? Take a look at your heroes on there. You've got Batman, who's just a fucking dick, right? Like let's put it all aside. The guy's a bit of a jerk, right? And he's this rich, entitled, white industrialist who decides to just buy a bunch of really cool toys and go beat up bad guys. Like it's actually pretty toxic. You look at Superman. He also, if you take a look at the history, he's a pretty sexist character as well, right? Like they're pretty bad. So I find Marvel is a little bit more the superhero of our time type of a thing. But I
uh,
definitely see that change. Like I see DC getting a lot darker, and Marvel, you're right, getting a little bit more into like the comedic side and a little bit lighter and fluffier
yeah.
and cutesy. I personally like it. I personally
You
do.
like it? Okay.
Um,
And a lot of people do. That's,
yeah.
I mean, you guys are all wrong, but it's okay. Uh no, it's fine. I,
I don't
listen,
know. You're
I enjoyed it. I like the Hulk. I think I first of all,
right.
now I'm curious. I have a lot of friends that are super into the original comics, like not the movies themselves, but the comics, and then whatever movies they made off of those. But who is your first of all? Which movie out of the entire franchise would you say sits up top for you for Marvel films? And then also, who is your favorite Marvel character?
Wow, that's a tough one. Um,
The eyes looking
yeah.
at me.
See, after what I just said, yeah, the eyes looking at me. After what I just said to say this, but Iron Man, I just think he's absolutely hilarious, right?
Oh yeah,
Like he's basically the Bruce Wayne of
right.
the Marvel universe. But I just think he's funny. Bruce Wayne and Batman, they've got that dour, really like I'm Batman. I'm really serious about everything, and I'm gonna be really dour all the fucking time. Like you've got that on the Batman side, but Iron Man's he's just awesome. He's
Yeah,
hilarious, right? About it.
yeah.
He's a dick too. What about you? What's your favorite?
Iron Man is dope. Well, Iron Man played by you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
by Downey Jr. But I think out of both, we're opening it up to both, right? DC and Marvel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, yeah, I like the anti-heroes, man. I've always kind of I like disturbing the peace characters, like the ones that.
Actually, give me your favorite Marvel and your favorite DC. Sorry, I'm changing the rules on you, and then I'll tell you my favorite DC. All right, go ahead.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right. Well, my favorite DC is not Washington right now, but let's not talk about that, or we
Yeah,
could. But yeah,
we will.
DC, Marvel, Marvel. Okay, I'll stick with Marvel. You know who I like in Marvel? I like. Uh, I want to go. It's a tie, but it's gonna be either Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
Um, again, because he doesn't even care about the good guys.
yeah,
He's just fighting
yeah.
to survive, and that's what I like about it. He's like the movie
And whatever
Logan.
he feels is right, and whatever he feels is
Yes,
right. It doesn't
yes,
matter what's going on. If he thinks it's just, he'll slice the
right.
guy. Yeah, yeah,
Hugh Jackman, amazing.
yeah.
Like, there's no better person to play Wolverine, which I think he's coming back in the new Deadpool, which I'm super stoked about. Um, yeah, like Logan, that movie was amazing. I thought they made see that was the type of Marvel movie I want more of. Like that,
Yeah.
I can watch all day. Deadpool's also dark. character, like dark person who was an anti-hero, then he starts to become. But yeah, I would say it's a tie between Deadpool and Wolverine, to be honest. Hulk
Nice.
is up there, but Hulk, I feel like they need to emphasize more of his genius, but they
Hmm.
portray him a lot as just an angry green guy. But like
Yeah, yeah,
he's actually a genius. Like he's actually very
yeah,
smart when he's calm. So
yeah. They dumb him
uh
down. They
they
definitely do.
dumb him down. So that's Marvel. DC, I gotta say, with DC, I'm not a big fan of a lot of their heroes. I will say I'm more of the fans of their villains.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Joker
So
for
which
sure
one?
is up there.
Yeah.
Joker's for sure. Um, I gotta say, damn. Did you see the new Batman with
Oh, with Edward from Twilight.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
It was
horrible. I missed half the movie. It was so fucking dark. I didn't even know what was going on.
and it wasn't even the Dark Knight. It was just Batman. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it was but for sure the best the two last Jokers I thought were amazing. Jared Leto put aside, I feel like they did him wrong with that. But um yeah, Walking Phoenix amazing, and also Heath Ledger, rest in peace.
yeah,
I just, they won me over. Like I had no interest in seeing Batman win any of those. You know,
yeah,
and well, the Joker solo film was great. I thought they're going to bring that into the new Batman, but they didn't.
yeah.
We shall see. But yeah, I gotta say Joker or Riddler. Joker or Riddler
Yeah.
to me are up there. Poison Ivy is kind of, yeah, like Poison
You're
Ivy.
getting
I
close to mine, man. You're getting close to mine. For
Okay,
me,
what is it?
Joker has always been. I've loved the Joker, especially Joaquin's Joker is absolutely unreal. Heath Ledger was iconic as well. Harley Quinn. I just
Ah, okay.
fucking love her, and like and what Margot Robbie did to that character was
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. But even more than that, um, Haley Cuoco does the voice of Harley Quinn for an animated series.
Mm.
Have you seen the Harley
I have
Quinn
not.
animated series?
I've
Oh,
seen. I mean, I know of it, but I haven't seen it. Yeah.
dude, it is so irreverent. It is so absolutely dirty and hilarious. You have to watch this thing.
Okay.
I think there's 4 seasons out already. You can either download it on YouTube or
Yeah.
I think you can get a few of the seasons on Netflix.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely hilarious.
No,
Absolutely hilarious.
Harley Quinn is yeah. She's the counterpart to Joker. I think
Yeah.
she's um yeah. I like that. I think Catwoman was played by Anne Hathaway was great. She played a great and it was kind of like a mix. I still don't know to this day, is she Catwoman or is she Batgirl? Because she kind of gives
Yeah.
she gives a little bit of both, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
like how Christopher Nolan made that, left that to the audience to decide. Like, she wasn't like when she teamed up with Batman, she was kind of more
Yeah.
Batgirl, whereas before that, she was kind of stealing a lot from the rich and all that. That was more of Catwoman's, you
Yeah.
know, demeanor. What
That's
do
the
you
other
think?
thing about super. That's the other thing about DC that I don't like. Right? You got Batman, Batgirl, Superman, Supergirl. Like it's a
There's
little bit. That's what I
Superwoman.
meant by the sexist. There's Superwoman now,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
originally it
yeah.
was Supergirl, right? That
Oh,
was the.
sorry. I meant on in Marvel. There's also, isn't there? Like, hold on. Now I'm stuck. I feel like they had a girl version of a couple of their characters. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. But was it Alicia Silverstone, Batgirl? Wasn't that Christopher Nolan as well, or was that?
Hmm. I'm not. If you want to ask me who my favorite Batgirl or Catwoman was, easily.
Come on,
Now
brother.
her name
Tell me.
escapes
Tell
me.
me what I want to see.
Why is
Tell me
my
what I want to
Why
see.
is her name
Tell me.
say
Was it Halle Berry?
Halle
Halle
Berry?
Berry. Yes, there you go. Halle
Halle
Berry.
Berry.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
amazing. She did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 16-year-old Mo, just absolutely. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Take your stinky socks and oh my god, that's great. We shall see where the comic universes go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I really I hope I'm looking for a dark. I'm looking for another dark like take on some of these heroes. I like the funny, but I think it's got to be dark humor mixed in with the like the realism of it. Like I like the realism of like Batman's being an orphan and like having to deal with not being loved and
What
being,
about the Punisher? I think that
oh,
falls in that category, right?
100%. My
Right?
my favorite series on Netflix easily
Right?
was The
Yeah.
Punisher. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Netflix and Disney fucked it all up by basically saying we're gonna buy all of those off of you, and then where are they now? They
And we're not doing
promised,
anything.
yeah, they were promised to put them on Disney Plus. Disney fucked that up too. Disney minus, in my opinion. But it's yeah, dude. Like they had
Whether
Bridget.
it's what they do with these franchises or how they support apartheid, either way, cancel your Disney membership.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Disney is the villain, I think, more so than the hero.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, it's horrible.
Tell me
Um,
something funny, Pej. I need to laugh after thinking about how
after
Disney was such a formative existence in my life
which part?
growing up, and now they're evil. So I need a good laugh, my friend.
Yeah. Hunchback. There you go. That's the funniest it gets with Disney. They should make a live version of that film. I don't know why they haven't already. But
Oh, they will. They will.
I don't know. Funny stories. So as you know, I don't drink or smoke.
Mhm.
I live the life of a straight edge um person. I don't flex about it, but also like, you know, I hang out with people who are smoking or drinking all the time. I'm a comic after all. Um so but I do have one funny story about, speaking of being 16. I was 16 in your home country of Canada, uh near Vancouver actually.
Hey.
O- Osoyoos is the city, I think.
Yeah, I love
Uh,
a Soyuz. It's
yeah,
amazing.
Osoyoos. Yeah, yeah, that's where my family lived. My uncle and them.
And
Rest
I
in
love
peace.
that you said it with a Persian accent.
Did I say it with a Persian
You
accent?
did. You pronounced it Osoyuz. Soyuz. Because it's a Soyuz. But
That's
like,
how. That's what
but
was
yeah,
taught to me. All right.
because your uncle lived there, so that I'm sure he had a Persian accent, right?
Okay. Okay. What's the Canadian version of saying it?
Osoyuz. Not
Osoyoos. Okay.
not Osoyuz. Osoyuz.
Osoyoos. Got
Osoyuz.
it.
Yeah.
Osoyoos. All right.
Yeah.
Osoyoos. All right. Sounds so fancy. All right. I should
No,
hold
no,
some
but
wine.
well, there's great wine there too. That's where all the vineyards are. So
There
that's
you go.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm 16, right? We go up there for a bachelor party slash wedding of my cousin, who's the son of my uncle. Both of them are now passed. Rest in peace to both of them. But I'm 16. The ink on my driver's license is still fresh. Like you can smear it off. That's how new my driver's license was. We go there, and my younger uncle, not the one that lives in Canada, and my cousin who's getting married, and a few other cousins and family. They're like, we got a big bachelor party. We're going to this club, and Pej, we're gonna let you in, but you have to act cool. You can't, you know, like be 16. You have to act as an adult. I was like, sure, no problem. I was like, I was such a geek. And then yeah,
And
so
apparently Russian as well, because you sounded very. I was ready to
yeah,
say
the more north I
KGB.
get, the closer I get to Russia, the accent. um, so I go in there with my like 16-year-old mustache. Um, we get in. I didn't know this. My cousin was 18. Apparently, drinking age over there is 18. I didn't even know that. So
Well,
I
19 in BC, 19 in BC, 18 in
19 in
Alberta and Quebec. Yeah.
right. Okay, so there we go. So, but they were very relaxed about it, I should say.
Yeah.
They didn't really check anything.
Yeah.
Um, so my cousin's like, "Oh yeah, I'm 18. Is that cool?" They're like, "You're 19, you said?" They're like, so I'm like,
Nice.
well, "Okay, this is how it is." Now, I didn't even back then. I didn't have an inkling to want to drink. I more so just wanted to uh, basically be the driver if I was asked to do so. But I should tell you, this is before like Google Maps and was readily available. I don't even think we had MapQuest yet. Um, everyone gets shit faced. Obviously, they go through their party. There's no fights, which is rare in with that side of my family. um, we actually behaved. Everyone is shit faced drunk. We're everyone's ready to go home. My uncle, the younger uncle, he's like, Pej, he throws the key. To be fair, he throws it to either one of us, my younger cousin who was 18 and me. I didn't drink. He did.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not fucking driving, dude. You got it. He's like, I'm trash myself. I'm like, you had one martini, but anyway. So I ended up getting the duty of driving, bro. A lot of back roads in Osoyuz,
Yep.
and
Yep.
some fucking way I had to maneuver. My uncle sitting passenger side, he's like, I got you, Daddy, don't worry. And he's like, I got you, buddy. He's like, all right, take her. And literally passes out like 5 minutes in, 5 minutes into 5 minutes into giving directions. This was a 35-minute drive. We go, and and his friend, best friend, sitting in the back seat, also shit faced. My cousin out like a baby, um, and I'm just maneuvering, both hands on the wheel, like 10 and 2, like how they taught me. Like I'm still like driving like I'm taking my test, and I'm going through this. It's night, it's dark. I don't know where I'm going. I somehow, by the miracle of whatever God I believed in back then, I I I got us to a spot to which my uncle said, "Okay, everything you following my directions? This is like 25 minutes of sleeping in and then waking up and telling me if I'm following his direction." I'm like, what do I say? I'm like, "Yeah, I think this is it, right over there." He's like, "Yeah, pull over." Pull over, to which he follows through with massive vomit on the side of the road. So if you smell something on that road in Osoyuz, that's my uncle's doing.
Like 30
Um,
years later, his 20 years later.
it was potent. It was very
There
potent.
you go.
So we get into I get him home, man. I get him to my late uncle's house. I as soon as I see their house, I roll up. I'm like, I park. Hey, we made it. And they just start laughing. They just start laughing, like my uncle and his best friend. They're like, "How did you get us home, brother?" I'm like, "I don't know, but you fucking just get in. I'm traumatized. I need to go figure out how I found my way. I think I hit a deer. It's okay. Let's just get in." But yeah, that was I don't know how it happened, but I did it. I till this day I don't know how I maneuvered my way. To be fair, I think it was one shot. Like I had to just stay on this one road, and then it
Yeah.
was like one. I think I just made the correct left, and then it was there. So, but yeah. What about you? You have any drunken stories?
So here's the thing. Um, we're Persian, man. Like we have a long history of drunkenness. We've been attributed with inventing alcohol. We have one of the most famous grapes named after one of our greatest cities, where my family's from, Shiraz. We have,
Former capital for a reason.
yeah, exactly. Um,
Don't you guys sleep
and
also a lot?
we are lazy. It's probably because of all the drinking, is what it is, right? It's kind of, yeah. Great people to pick a fight in because they're never actually going to come through. The Shirazis are way too lazy to actually come through
I
with it. They have to actually get up and fight. No, no, no. Let me just.
I,
I'm
I
having a
have a
nap.
brother-in-law of the same region. I can concur.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. So, but this is why like the Islamic regime is such a it's so strange for a lot of Iranians. I remember when I first moved to Iran, um, well, moved to Iran, lived there for 3 years. But I guess I moved there for 3 years, you could call it. But anyway, I needed a drink, right? And so someone referred me to a Armenian gentleman that I could call, and he rolls up in his vehicle, and in the trunk, he's got basically a liquor store. There's whatever you could imagine, like right there for you to purchase. It's pretty great. The Armenians are amazing for that, and they're very welcoming. Like I remember I'd get my bacon from an Armenian pizza shop, and I would get because they have access to all this stuff. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
drinking goes back, interestingly enough, way back into our history, other than inventing alcohol and all that sort of thing. Persian lawmakers, and this is important. I think there's a lesson to be learned here,
Oh,
right?
I know where you're going with this.
You know where I'm
Okay.
going with this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Persian lawmakers. And this is why I'm not surprised that they were able to function so well. And it was, they were doing, we would, like I was there, in ancient Persia, what they would do is at night, they would sit to debate a new law, and they would get absolutely piss faced. They would get drunk off their gourd, and they would sit and they would debate the law. And if they came up with, let's say they came up with, a conclusion is whether or not this is a good law to pass, they would then debate it again in the following morning when they were sober. And if they came to the same conclusion as they did when they were drunk, they would say, well, in both states of mind, we came to the conclusion that this is beneficial, and they would pass the law. It was the drug
That's
test,
that
right?
is interesting. So hangover, like I guess hangovers were not considered, but it's like
Yeah,
just
yeah, right.
just being like very so to be very easily agitated versus being very drunk and coming up with the same solution. That's rare because that
Or, like you said, they were so hungover and the headache and the agitation, someone would say, all right, last night we decided we're going to pass a law where whatever happens.
yeah.
I'm not going to come up with anything ridiculous. The next one, and everyone's got a wicked hangover and they just go, fuck yeah, yeah, man, I agree. I need
Just
to
don't
go home and lay
turn
down.
the light
Is
off.
that
Turn
what
the
it
light
was?
off.
Are you completely like shattering my view of this idea
No,
here?
I'm not. It's
Okay,
not an
yeah,
idea. It's not a view. I think you're right. It's real stories. It's happened. It's in our history books that this happened.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, if it had to be the next morning or if there was a debate. I'm like, can we just wait like till the afternoon? So like, I had a lot to drink last night, and if they were Shirazi on top of that, they'd probably like, dude, morning.
Yeah.
Let's wait till like at least afternoon. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, can we do this after breakfast at 3 p.m., please? Like, yeah.
I mean, it's great. I wonder how many policies went into law based on this method. I mean, I'm sure
Tons.
I'm sure there's
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah, I'm sure there's
yeah.
a number on that, a statistic. But and I wonder if other countries and nations adopted this method. That
I think some need to. I honestly think some need to. Look, we are coming into, um, I can't say election season, really over the next 2 years, some of the most contentious and I don't want to say important, but really critical areas of the world are having elections. The first, you guys, right? The elephant that lives just south of the border with us that is going to affect the world with every decision they make. You've got the elections down in the U.S. Then you've got the elections in Canada coming up straight up after that.
well,
Iran.
it's an elephant or a jackass. Right now, it's a jackass.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
stupefied elephant. And then you've got Israel coming up just after those other elections.
yeah.
So with everything that's going on in the world right now, you've got four countries that need their citizenry have some serious decisions to make, and these elections are going to be big ones. These are going to be
Dude,
big ones, and I think maybe Congress and Parliament and Majlis and the Knesset should really adopt this theory of let's all get drunk together and have a talk, and then in the morning when we're all hungover and a lot more amenable to each other's ideas, let's discuss it again. I don't know. What do
I,
you think?
I like it. I would change it instead of drunk. I would switch it to smoke a lot of weed and
Yes.
then decide. I think either weed or just microdose on shrooms, and then see see where you would. Speaking of
Unless
high,
you're
yeah,
Yeah, unless you're Shirazi, because at that point, if they're smoking weed and they're from Shiraz, that's it. No decisions are being made at this point. They're gonna get the munchies,
yeah.
have one of those kebab sandwiches you were talking about,
Oh
and take a
man,
nap, and that'll be the end of it.
I would
Yeah,
say, I would say the Shirazis should just focus on the Shiraz grapes, and then everybody else can get high.
there
But
you go. There you go.
no, dude, yeah, and then have some tea ready to go just to keep
Yeah.
you guys awake. Um,
This we're gonna recommend this. I'm writing a letter to the Islamic Republic of Iran and saying that that's what their Majlis needs to do. They need to get fucking pissy drunk and debate things.
I
Let's see how
I
let's
veto
see how
that.
that
They should.
goes.
I say they. I say they should just leave, and then
Is that you?
the next regime or the next
Yeah.
government, secular government, can decide what they can use that method.
How
Speaking
about
of
this?
Iranian governments,
Let's
sorry, yeah,
recommend fentanyl. Let's recommend fentanyl, a high dose of fentanyl for Majlis. Maybe that could
there we
be.
go, there we go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
they'll sleep for a long time after
Yeah,
that.
that would be nice.
Yes, let's just reroute all the fentanyl epidemic that's happening. Let's just reroute that to the Majlis. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that.
It
Appreciate it.
exactly. Yeah.
Whoever's
Yeah.
listening, whoever is behind the fentanyl epidemic, just I'll give you the address.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of governments in Iran, though, that's uh, what's going on with like I don't you. I think we were talking off air about the idea like in the US we have every 4 years we
Yeah.
have a we have a new election as far as presidents are concerned. And
Yeah.
then and then I don't think for in my lifetime I've never seen that in Iran. Obviously it's been IR the entire time I've been alive. So uh how does that work even with their presidents? We know they're just puppets
Yeah.
for whatever Khamenei wants, right? So it's like that system has so many holes, obvious holes in it. But I guess when you are under their power and you've been indoctrinated by their policies your whole life, it's a lot harder to
Mhm.
see the bullshit. But then again, as you can see, the revolution is speaking obviously against what I'm saying. Like, oh no, they're done with it. But it took time to get to that, right? It took 43 years to for people
Well,
to
no, there's been people have been no, there's
I
been
mean, to this
uprisings.
magnitude,
Yeah,
anyway.
to this magnitude, absolutely.
Yeah,
To this level, I'd
yeah,
say, maybe 2009 was just as big. And even a
yeah.
couple of years ago, Alban, bloody Alban was huge too. But yeah, everything's kind of worked towards this, absolutely. But you're right. There's something in um, most of the world, and this is one of the amazing things about democracy. I have a lot of issues with Western democracy and the way that it's run and the way that it's been set up because it's anything but democratic. But the one thing that is nice and well didn't really play through last time January 6th is that peaceful transition of power. That's the gem of democracy is that and it's that word power that you said, right? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
just have puppets changing, it doesn't really matter. It's really that power shift. And you saw how Trump wasn't willing to relinquish that. It was the first time really in American history that happened. But that peaceful transition of power is what's important. And the thing that drives me a little bit fucking batty is that for a culture like ours, we have yet to have a peaceful transition of power. There've either been coups d'etats, there have been complete overthrows and new regimes coming in. People have had to flee the country, or foreign powers like Britain and the US have come in to impose someone. There hasn't been a free, peaceful transition of power ever, which is nutty because we're the same people who invented Taruf. You take two Persians out and they want to walk through a door, it will take a good 45 minutes after you. No, no, please, after you. I swear to God, I'm going to slash your throat if you don't go first. No, if you don't go first, I'm murdering your firstborn. Like they're absolutely, it's insane. We're so polite when it comes to that, but come
Yeah,
to a peaceful transition of power, we want to slit each other's throats. It's insane.
yeah. Well, both sides clearly slash each other's throats. But apparently one is for a good cause because you have to show the civilness in your heart and the courtesy of respect beyond imagination for this other person who is actually not anybody really special other than being another person. I don't know, man. Tarofing is I have my thoughts on it. I'm kind of on the fence. I feel like tarofing is has
Do
become
people know what
toxic.
that is? Should you explain what that is for
No, they
people
all
who may
know.
not?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's
Everyone knows.
I'll tell you what tarofing means, and this is funny because I wanted to see what Google would tell me what tarof is. Obviously, I know what it is, but I wanted to see how Google AI would, which is a new thing now with Google, is it defines tarof Taarof is a Persian word that refers to an Iranian form of civility or art of etiquette that emphasizes both uh, deference and social rank. It can be described as a specific form of Iranian etiquette or politeness to show respect for others. That's where I'm going to say cap because I don't know if it is necessarily respectful after a little while. I feel it becomes obnoxious. I feel like it becomes obnoxious. It's no longer because now you're not respecting a person's time by like if you're spending 15 20 minutes deciding who's going to pay the check or who's going to go through the door first, like, or through the open door first, like, you've now wasted enough time. I have a whole bit I do on stage about this with my uncle, another uncle that came to visit, and it was a shit show to say the least, man. It was just like, I don't tar off, or I define myself as a courteous and empathetic person. I don't necessarily think I tar off though. Like, if you and I were to go out and you're like, I got this one, I'm like, are you sure? And that's about it. And if you say yes, then I'm like, cool, I got you on the next one. But that's normal. To me,
Yeah.
that is healthy. And I'm not disrespecting you. I'm not dismissing your offer. Where it becomes toxic to me is you offer to pay, but you got no fucking money in your bank account to do it. That's that is that is I've seen that. I've seen that ad nauseum, and I'm
Oh,
tired of that. That's the tar off that is needs to go. Like,
oh man.
you see what I'm saying? Like, to me, that is where the problems arise with this art. It's become it's become more so a bluff game a lot of times, as much as anything genuine. So
Wow, that sucks.
yeah,
That really
what's your
sucks.
experience with it?
Okay, so first of all, when you read that definition, I was like, man, that was actually pretty good. Like
Yeah.
with some of the words that it brought up, the deference, the the respect of the age and all that sort of. So for example, if you and I were to go out and um, Todorov would also it comes with the same thing. You would suggest it, but the assumption would be that I would pay, and the rules of Todorov would dictate that that would be the case simply for the fact that I'm older. That's it.
Is that how
So
you got it? Yeah. That
yeah,
is true. That is true. Yeah, that's
right.
part of it.
So you would go, no, 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 please let me, and I'd be like, no, come on, hey, I'm the older brother here, and that would be the end of it. Right, that would kind of end the conversation. Now, what you're talking about is something really specific, and that sucks. And yeah, I've seen that. I've had that before. People are like, I had an uncle who was a bit of a deadbeat.
It's always an
I went to
uncle.
Iran,
It's
right? It's
always,
always
yeah,
those Persian uncles. I go to Iran. I go to Iran when I think I was like 12 years old at the time,
yeah.
and he decides I'm staying with him one night, and he decides let's go for a drive to Shoman to the north. We get in the car and we drive. He doesn't bring any money with him, but he wants to take me on this trip, right? Up to the north overnight and come back. And we stop. Oh, I got to take this amazing restaurant, and oh, there's a really great villa that I always stay at. And okay, you didn't bring your fucking wallet. What do you do? So I'm a 12-year-old me is having to pick up the check for this trip that my uncle wants to take me on. So that's Todorov gone wrong. But the
Taro
nice thing
gone wrong.
about yeah,
We
but
gotta put that on like one of
a
them old
t-shirt.
girls gone wild. Taro gone wild. Taro gone wrong.
Yeah. But but there are certain elements of it that are nice, right? They are nice, like offering your seat to somebody that comes under Todorov as well.
Sure.
Going to somebody's house and not uh, completely eating them out of house and home also is one of them. That deference that it talked
I'm
about in that
guilty. I'm guilty.
you're guilty of that. Where usually, and that's the thing that killed me as a kid, right? When I was a kid, my parents would say, "All right, we're going to go to whoever's house. You're not going to eat from the table." I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not going to eat?" But they've got like, no. If they ask you, you say no. If they ask you again, you say no, thank you. If they ask you a third time, you say, okay, thank you very much. And whatever they put you, that's what you eat. You don't ask for anything. Like, remember as little kids, you would go to people's houses and it was like, you better not go grab one of those cookies. You're not allowed, whatever.
I
So
yeah.
yeah, it's heartbreaking as a kid, right? But I like it. I like the etiquette. I look at my daughter and we've raised her with that instilled in her,
Mm.
and it is a problem for her because she's living in Canada amongst a bunch of Canadians who have no idea. And so she goes to a friend's house and she'll come home and she'll be like, I'm so fucking thirsty. I'm really hungry. I swear I can't even talk. I'm so parched. I can't even. I'm like, why didn't you get what? I didn't want to ask them. It'd be rude. I'm like, what do you mean? Go get what?
Oh yeah.
So you have to make sure that the kids understand that,
It's
it's
it's listen, tarofing is beautiful when it's tasteful.
yeah.
Okay. It's got to be healthy, and but I get it. When I was a kid too, man, same thing. But I was the younger of the two, and I was I was the only boy, and I was the youngest. You're the only boy too, right? And you're
Yeah.
growing up, yeah.
Doodool
Uh,
Tala, absolutely.
yeah. I was I was the rebellious dude. So I was just a dick, in other words. I was the kid who Doodool means dick for those who don't know.
And
But
Doodool is just a cuter way of saying it.
yeah, it's yeah, I don't know a cuter way of saying dick. Richard, yeah. Um, but dude, I was the kid that at the dinner at a mehmoni or a gathering, someone's house, um, I try to be the first in line. Here's the bullshit of it all. I was in Iran growing up. The kids had to wait till the adults went, and then you ate. That's at least my family's experience. The adults go get their food from the dinner table or lunch table, and then the kids go after. So I lived through that, having to wait to eat, and then I moved to America. Now I'm like 20, 22 years old. I'm an adult. The dinner tables now, the kids go first in America. So the kids eat first, and I had to wait. So I've been waiting my whole life to have the first take on the food, and
I was telling this to somebody. We're the fucking burnt generation. We had to completely defer to our parents, right? And get
yeah,
smacked upside the head if we even like looked at them funny.
yeah,
And then now our kids, my daughter will smack me upside the head if I even like look at her funny. Like,
yeah,
honey, don't you think you've been on the phone for 4 hours and that's enough? Right across the face, right? Like I get one of those. So we get it. We got it from our parents growing up,
yeah,
and now we're
yeah.
getting it from the kids now. We
No respect.
when is
Yeah.
our time? When, yeah,
Yeah.
I get no respect. Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah.
It's true though. It's true. So yeah, it's tar roofing is interesting. So from now, any audience member, if you go to a restaurant, you see some people that you may recognize as being Iranian, and just pay attention. Pay attention to how they get the check, and
Yeah.
see how where the check lands, and who finally puts their hand over it. I had an uncle of my dad who were amazing at bluffing for Tarov, but neither of them actually wanted to pay. So it
Because
was
they're
our
uncles. Yeah. That's,
yeah, my uncle, my dad. My dad is
oh,
the
okay.
oldest, right? So my dad would be like, "Baba, I'm the older," but it's only like a year and a half, 2 years apart. So it's like that that doesn't really apply anymore when you both look
Yeah.
90. So it's like, like you guys just figure it out. I don't participate because I didn't ask for you guys to come to this dinner. You asked me. So
Yeah.
it's on you guys. So, and you're older, so then I throw it back in their face, and then they don't really like that. But then they put the receipt comes, it's on the table, and then you just see hands hovering over it. No, 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 man, 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 man. And it's just like all the other seats. By the way, we're at a Chili's. Like, it's not even like a big, you know what I mean? We're not at anything fancy that like it's gonna break the bank. But so they just do this hovering thing for like 5 minutes or maybe 10, unless someone steps in, and then the waiter is just standing there shocked, like, what's happening? Like, are these two okay? And I'm just like, Mom, have one of them, just you pick it up or something, right? And then finally my dad takes the receipt, takes the check, pays it, reluctant. Like, inside, he's pissed that his brother didn't start off hard enough, and the other brother is regretting the whole trip that he came here, and like now he's like subjected to this atrocity of my dad
Someone else
paying
paying
for him.
for him. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's no good. I'm like, I enjoyed the shit out of my kebabs. I don't know, like, and it was shish kebabs because it was Chili's, but
So a trick that I always used to do, and I actually got trumped on this once, which was I was like shocked because it always worked for me. And when I wanted to pay, is I would go give the credit card ahead of time. I'd be like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to go wash my
yes,
hands
yes,
before dinner. And you give the credit card to the server and you go, I leave a 20% tip or I leave a 25% tip. This is the card you use. Just bring it to the table. Um, Once I did this with some family members when I was down in San Francisco. And what absolutely shocked me is the waiter came to the table afterwards, and I was all like smug, like, "Hey, I'm good. I did, I." The guy comes to the table with two of those, those little plastic
yeah.
pleather
Oh,
things.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those are two of them. Puts one in front of me. Puts one in front of my wife's uncle who's there.
Uh-huh.
I open mine. It's just my card. He opens up his card's already been run through. They went and did the exact same thing,
It's a common tactic amongst
right?
Iranians, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
dude, it's true. It's true. But that's what I'm saying. It can get out of hand if if there's not like a agreed upon like level to how much you do it. I think it needs to be a healthy amount. But anyway, comment any other culture. Do you guys have this in your culture as well? If you're watching this, listening to this, uh, I don't know. I know there's courtesy and respect and etiquette in many cultures, obviously, but does it apply when it comes to insisting or over insisting to either cover a charge or even like because I've heard it in America even like after you right it's usually like a lot of times and at the risk of sounding sexist but not intending to but it's usually like the man would offer the door for the lady to walk first but now that's even being challenged right we are all people we're all the same so anyway it's I think it
But I do
exists.
that with everyone, though. Don't you do it with everybody?
Nah,
Isn't that
fuck guys. Men suck. I go first.
really okay?
No,
All
I'm
right.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, it's yeah, it's courtesy. But I'm saying like on dates and stuff, for example, like
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
is that
yeah,
is usually
yeah.
the case. But yeah, no, it's it is. But to a degree, obviously we've seen it in Western cultures as well. Um and I think in Hispanic cultures, Latin cultures
Mhm.
have it. I know. I don't know. But that's why I want to see what the audience thinks and whatever culture they're from. What is it? What is this art of insisting or tarof as we call it? How does that exist in your culture? Um, but
I get
yeah,
on this. We were talking about elections.
yeah.
Oh, and how Iranians just won't give up power, and yet they're ridiculous about paying
That's a
bills.
reverse tarofing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I will not leave. I will let you pay for me. This is
Yeah.
absolutely okay. But back briefly on the elections, I was actually pretty stoked today when I heard about one of the people that are running for president in the US. Somebody who I've been following for years, who I absolutely adore. I'm a huge fan, Dr. Cornell West. Did you hear about this?
You from you, yeah. Tell me more
Yeah.
though. What's the
Yeah. So yeah, he's running for president. I'm trying to see if um, here his presidential campaign doesn't look like looking. He's running as an independent, um, and he gave an amazing speech yesterday. Um, I believe it was in New York. It was outside the UN, and it was a pretty scathing rebuke of everything that's going on right now. And he delivered a really beautiful message. And if I was, and you know what? Actually, I'm going to share it with you right now, and I want you to watch this. All right.
okay? Yeah.
So here, take a look at this.
From a people for 400 years have been terrorized, traumatized, and hated, and we dish out love warriors and freedom fighters every generation, which means that we stand in solidarity with anybody who's occupied, anybody who's subjugated, anybody who's exploited, and that's why we focus on Gaza at this moment, because a genocidal attack is taking place.
Yeah.
10,000 dead and 4,000 precious children. And don't let anybody tell you that because you love Palestinians and Palestinian babies that you hate somebody else. It just doesn't follow what our brothers, we don't hate Jewish brothers, we don't hate Jewish sisters, we don't hate Jewish siblings. We hate a vicious Israeli occupation. We loathe and we hate a vicious siege against Gaza. And the least we can do at this moment of overwhelming barbarity is have a ceasefire. And yet you got these cowards in Washington, D.C. talking about a humanitarian pause. Please get off the crack pipe. Wake up. See the humanity of precious Palestinian brothers and sisters. And the American empire has the nerve in this building to veto a humanitarian pause with our precious Palestinian brothers and sisters being bombed. What kind of country are we? What kind of people are we? And we send a message to Palestinian brothers and sisters and siblings in Gaza. You are not forgotten. We see you. We focus on you. We give attention to you. And it doesn't mean that we're not concerned with our indigenous brothers and sisters here. It doesn't mean we're not concerned with black folk and brown folk. It doesn't mean we're unconcerned with workers. It doesn't mean that we're unconcerned with Jewish brothers and sisters wherever they are with anti-Jewish hatred. We're not concerned about responding to somebody else. We are bearing witness to the tradition that has been poured in.
Man, that is I had chills. I had chills watching that.
Can you imagine having a president speaking like that about atrocities in the world, about
Of course.
humanity, about fairness, about, can you just imagine what a world that could be?
I 100,000% I can imagine it. And you know me to be the positive guy, right? I'm always positive about everything. I try to look at everything half full, but I worry that that Dr. Cornel West is I worry how he's going to be received and brought up the ranks. Do we know which party he's running as, or is it independent?
Independent.
So there we go. I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious, because obviously he's going to have my biggest attention because he's talking truth and he's speaking about real shit, and it's not sandwiched in political rhetoric, but rather it's about reality and humanity. So we know the history of the United States. We know that an independent party has never won.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful that both Democrats and Republicans have pissed the people off enough to the point where we're like, fuck the both of you. We're done. But that leads me to the question of how much more desperate and how many more tricks are the Democrats and the Republicans going to use to keep someone like Dr. Cornel West out of sight, out of mind. That's what I'm concerned with. And my secondary concern, and again, call me jaded or call me, like not really a believer, but I believe what he's saying and that he means it. Is that what's going to transpire if he were to be elected as president? And once he is president, is he going to follow through with those? Because we've seen this before. We've seen other presidents, even though they were Democrats or Republicans, they said everything we wanted to hear and everything that people were thirsting for, right? They used that to rise to power. Obama was a great example of that. He knew that he was going to get a lot of votes based on the hot topics of the time, right? And then when he touched on it, and the fact that he was the first black president or person to become president, he knew that was going to help a lot. And hell, I voted for him both of those terms. But my point is, what you see in present day, and then what you see 10 years from now of what they did that we weren't aware of, that's the part. That's the part where, because that happened with Obama, and that happened in, with some presidents, their corruption is obvious right then and there. Others, it's kind of hidden, and you have to wait and for time to pass, and then you see it, both internationally or domestically. For the regular Joes like myself, who's not into politics, people who are involved, like yourself, I know you're very heavily involved. You probably see it a lot sooner. But do we have enough people like you in the world where we can catch it and not allow it to even become someone of power? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I see the I see the party system being the reason why a lot of these feckless leaders come in and don't actually pull through. Why Obama didn't do what he did is because the Democratic Party is pulling the reins, and not just that, both the ones that are controlling the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, just like it is in Canada, are the same corporations, and they have the same interests, right? That's why you don't see much change between a Republican presidency and a Republican Congress, Republican Senate versus a Democratic one. The hope that I have with somebody like Cornel West is that he's saying the right things. I remember Ross Perot back in the day, and he was a bit of a nut job, and he was probably the one that had the most chance as an independent to get that following. But he was again the rich man's candidate, right? And he was basically would be more aligned, I think, with more of a Trump style than, in my opinion, than anything nowadays. But when you take a look at Cornel West's platform, right, and the things that he, I was just going to read the headings, right? He talks about economic justice, worker justice, environmental justice. That's his key thing, is justice, right? Health justice, racial justice, transformative, voter, educational, LGBTQIA plus, gun violence justice, immigration justice, and finally, the thing that I think we need the most these days, global justice. And so he's speaking exactly to what ails the people. And I find that is probably one of the most promising things about him. Not to mention that he's respected, right? He's respected in a lot of circles as well. Not only is he an intellectual, not only is he an educator, not only is he an incredible speaker, right? You saw that speech, and it was moving. It spoke to the very core and the very essence of you. And if you remember back to our episode 2, part 1, remember with Aileen? Remember she said that like the one politician or the one person that she really looks up to and that she sees is remember she said? Dr. Cornel West, right? And I thought of that when I was watching this, and I sent her a message actually, and I said, hey, I think I found out who you're voting for next election because she loved him so much. Yeah. I think he's really going to be speaking to a lot of people, a lot of disenfranchised, disillusioned, and really fed up people in the States. And
do you think that number is high enough to make a stamp?
Do I think he's going to be able to pull enough away from the Republicans and the Democrats to do it? Honestly, if we're looking at like a Ron DeSantis and a Biden election, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Do I think Cornel West will be able to pull enough away from Trump? Definitely from Biden, he will. To be able to make that much of a dent? I don't know, because the cult following that Trump has is a little bit scary, right?
Yeah,
it's a little bit scary.
There is yeah, no, I'm 100% like, out of all of the debates that have happened in the past couple weeks on the Republican candidates and then the Democrats and just the like people who are in the runnings, all of them, you can see the puppetry in their words. You could see that they're acting. You could see that they don't mean half the shit that's coming out of their mouth. Most of the shit that's coming out of their mouth. And the delusion that they think that'll still get a following. For me and for you, it's obvious that it's not, and I do believe that there are millions, if not hundreds of millions, I feel, that are on the same page as us when it comes to this. I think you kill enough, you orchestrate and fund enough baby killing, I think you quickly get people to wake up and not want to fuck with you anymore. So and see through the bullshit, because we have to admit we're asleep. The society has been asleep for a long time, by design of these puppet masters, but I think it's starting to enough are starting to wake up to make a dent. And I hope Dr. Cornel West follows through with every word he just said there and more. And I hope he gets at least half the votes so that we can start to change America, man. And then that leads to a change in the world, because it's one of the most powerful countries in the world is right here. And when it's used for more killing, it's heartbreaking. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What's
and on that,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what's that like? I know Canada has its own political issues as well.
We do.
Yeah. And then I know Trudeau has been followed around. People are telling they're chanting at him, and we talked about this last episode. But I'm curious, like, when is the next election for you guys? And
2025. It'll be October 25. So first it's the U.S., then it's Iran, I believe, and then it's Canada, and then it's Israel. So with Trudeau, there's a lot of questions. He won a Liberal senator, same party as him, actually wrote an op-ed last week suggesting that maybe it's time to look for a new leader for the party, which you don't really see often. And the reason why a senator could do that is that senators in Canada are they're not elected, like they're appointed. And they serve for life, so or until they retire. And so he doesn't have to worry about an election or any blowback from the party, because once you're a senator, you're done. And this guy was never even an elected official. He was a member of the party that he was a staffer, and then after 2 years of being a staffer was made a senator.
Wow.
But he's very respected, and he carries a lot of weight. Melanie Joly as well. Like I believe she's the foreign minister. I'm having a bit of a brain gap here, but she's been responsible for Canada's position as well during the crisis right now in Palestine. And I know that there's it's making a lot of waves. I think we're going to see some major change. Probably by February, March, we'll see if there's going to be any challenge to the leadership of the Liberal Party. And if there isn't, I would probably predict that the Conservatives are going to win this election. The Liberals will probably be the second party. That's if the NDP doesn't get their shit together, which they haven't since Jack Layton was around. But with all of that being said, I think that we are going through a major paradigm shift right now, after what happened in Iran and the ongoing revolution there, with the crisis right now in Palestine. And that's definitely where the focus of the world is right now. And they're seeing the cracks in a lot of this system that we've set up for ourselves globally, and they're seeing the problems with that system. I'll give a couple updates here, like and maybe I'll share this other video on our TikTok and our Instagram page. It was an interview that Mark Ruffalo did. So we were talking about the Hulk.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he gave a really impassioned statement as well. Being labeled as being anti-Semitic because of his call for a ceasefire, and how that had affected him. And this entire this last month and a bit has it's really shattered people's view of the world. A lot of what they felt was right and what was going on, and what they really what they believed in. I think a lot of people have been shaken to their core, because we're constantly seeing the scenes coming out of Gaza, and none of it plays with the official story that we're hearing from a lot of these people, right? We take a look at Al Shifa Hospital today.
Yeah.
There was a statement that was put out by the chief of the medical staff there, saying that everybody in the intensive care unit perished today. In the morning, it started with 2 newborns, and it's been from the lack of electricity, lack of resources, and the fact that they were besieged. Apparently, there's snipers all around the hospital, just shooting into the building, and destroying the place, and trying to get hospital staff. You've got the ongoing bombings that are obviously been devastating. You've got this bullshit statement that Biden made about 4-hour, moratoriums on the bombing so that people can leave their homes. So they're giving 4-hour windows so that people can leave so they can continue bombing. But here's the thing. Wasn't this all about hostages? Didn't we talk about 200 hostages that need to be brought back? Did you see the video of the IOF soldier who was on the beach in Gaza? And I'll share that on our site too as a story. I won't. I don't want to leave it on as a post because it's pretty disgusting. But he's basically talking about what a great time he's having and how wonderful it's been and how it's such a blessing, this war. Not a mention of hostages, not a mention of saving anybody. And he's talking about how they're going to destroy the rest of Gaza and enjoy themselves. You
leave it to the lesser ranked amongst this secretive power that's the real motive behind what's happening. Leave it to the lesser ranked to expose the system. And how stupid are the higher powers that they don't even bring that video down? It's like if you don't bring it down, you're admitting to it being true. If you do bring it down, you're trying to cover up something. So you're it's like either way, the truth is out, right? It's like as far as the people in power that are ruining Israel and are ruining literal lives and families for centuries. But
it's since day one they've been doing this, right? Since day one they've been coming out pridefully saying that they're committing genocide, right? Proudly saying what they're going to do. So I don't think they care about taking down this video. They're fine with this. When the prime minister talks about Amalek and committing genocide so blatantly in a speech, why would the soldiers hold back? Right?
Yeah. Then there's a film I watched last week. I was honored and lucky enough to be part of be able to view the screening. It's called Israelism, right? Israelism, sorry, is my Persian accent kicked in. Israelism is and it's about an hour and a half of a film that breaks down from infancy how Israel is taught to the people, to the Jewish people, right? Now I have a lot of Jewish friends who are like, I'm not trying to look at Israel like that, right? Israel is basically their Mecca, right? It's their birthright is how they teach it. And the extremists that are not, it's no longer even about Judaism anymore. It's about power, right? And it's about total dominance and it gets really nasty. And it really shares that, it really shows that how it starts and how it builds, and people who kind of get caught in that washing of the mind, and then they get stuck in that mindset, and then there is no other truth for them. That is the only way. Right.
Yeah, it's the brainwashing. It's the brainwashing.
It's 100%. Right? And but this film does a spectacular job of showing that and separating it from, people, the good people of the Jewish community versus this extremism, right? It's like the good people. Now this is like the good people in that are good friends of mine who are Muslim versus Islamic Republic sympathizers. You know what I mean? They're two different breeds. They're two different things. But because of the name, it's easy for the absent-minded to clump it together. And I think we are at a point in history right now where we are all, as a society, we're starting to separate. We're starting to separate IR from Islam. We're starting to separate extreme Zionism from the Jewish people. So,
but here's the thing: I would purport, and there's a lot of people that think like me who would say that the Zionist experiment was never about religion, right? It was absolutely about power and about securing British colonial power in the Middle East and American influence in the Middle East. It had nothing to do with religion, because if it did, they're doing far more harm than any good. But something that Bassem Youssef, I don't know if you know Bassem, he's a TV host in Egypt. His wife is Palestinian. I believe he's from Palestinian descent himself, but has lived in Egypt. I'm not sure. Someone could correct us on that. He was doing an interview with Piers Morgan, and he said something really amazing that over the last 80 years, we've gone from one, atrocity and Holocaust that we all saw as being unjust, and we saw how it came about. The rhetoric that the Nazis would use, they would call Jewish people the rats. They would use words about infestation, and they're this. And when you take a look at the Israeli politicians and the Zionists today, they're using the same language, right? It's these animal humans, it's these snakes that live and kill and breed in filth and whatever. It's that dehumanizing effect, and it's amazing that we can see that all that's happened over the last 80 years, if we've just replaced from that racist propaganda, we've just replaced the word Jew with Muslim, but it's the exact same playbook. It's exactly the same thing. And the fact that some people don't see this is amazing. And the fact that they don't see the harm that they're doing is amazing. There's you know what, I'm gonna play this one for you too. This is a speech from the Israeli president today. And I'm gonna play this for you right now.
Yeah.
You have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people supporting by their demonstrations, supporting Hamas. I want to show you something exclusive, Laura. So this is Adolf Hitler's book, translated to Arabic, Mein Kampf. It's the book that led to the Holocaust and the book that led to World War II. This is the book that led to his victory in elections in Germany, which led to the worst atrocity of humankind, which the British fought against. Well, this book was found just a few days ago in northern Gaza, in a children's living room, which was turned into a military operation base of Hamas, on the body of one of the terrorists and murderers of Hamas. And he even he wrote notes, he marked and learned again and again Adolf Hitler's ideology of hating the Jews, of killing the Jews, of burning the Jews, of slaughtering the Jews.
Okay, so you just heard that. Now, the danger of what was just said there is what I want to point out. First of all, can I mention a pet peeve here as an aside? Why do they call it Hamas? I have no idea. Hamas, I get. You're trying to claim Hamas, but Hamas, there's literal cities in Israel like Haifa. The H is a letter, but these are the sort of things that I'm talking about. Why that harshness of the name, Hamas. They want to present it in a way like that. They talk about, what was the comment about a children's living room? I don't know what a children's living room is, first of all. I have no idea what that means, a children's living room.
Yeah.
But why are you mentioning a children's living room and then saying it was found on the body of a Hamas fighter who presumably was killed, most likely in one of those bombing attacks? And you saw in the video, the book looked like it just came out of Barnes and Noble, right? And there were literally Post-it notes with notes all throughout it. So you're telling me that these Hamas fighters are sitting around in a children's living room with Post-it notes, studying Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf. What is this going to bring you? Well, let me tell you what it brings you, right? When you're constantly playing on this religious undertone, this has nothing to do with religion.
Of course.
When I go to marches out here in Montreal, I am surrounded by Muslim, Jewish, atheist, Christian brothers and sisters that are absolutely incensed with the amount of violence that's going on in Gaza right now. This has nothing to do with religion, but they keep bringing it back. Well, what ends up happening? Well, on Friday night, right, in my town, in Montreal, and this really bothered me that this happened. 2 Jewish schools on Friday night were shot at. Are you telling me that the ongoing racially charged rhetoric and propaganda that is constantly coming out and making this about religion and not about humanity, not about the fact that there are indigenous people who they've been occupied, they've been killed, they've been displaced for decades. That is the conversation. Why are we talking about religion? Well, Yeshiva Gedola and Talmud Torah Elementary School, an elementary school, Pej, was shot at in Montreal. They suspect it was the same person because it was a single shot through the front door. It was all in the Côte des Neiges area here in Montreal. But why can't people see the writing on the wall? Why can't they understand that, you know, we're trying to win a financial battle here? You heard about the oil and gas reserves under Gaza, right? This is now the idea of, you know, what this is all about. It's one, the Ben Gurion Canal, and we can maybe talk about this in another episode, and also the oil and gas reserves that are both offshore and underneath Gaza. But they're making it about religion, and this is then coming out, and people are getting hurt. Thankfully, no one got hurt here. But how many of those kids have to go to school tomorrow morning? We're recording this Sunday night. This happened on Friday evening. They've seen the news. Their parents have talked to them. They probably got an email. These kids now have to go back to school on Monday morning knowing that someone shot through their window on Friday night. And I personally blame these assholes. These motherfuckers are the reason why this is happening, because they're making this about religion when all they're trying to do is win land and money and resources and run roughshod over an indigenous population.
And that's why, and this is exactly why my first of all, thank goodness that no one was harmed from these shootings. You also know that elementary school, Jewish school, you know how that is very important news that must be shared, and it will definitely be shared at where I work at, and I'm sure they're going to be talking about this as well, as they should. We've already been discussing a lot of this security measures. The security measures have been heightened, and for what? And for the same dangerous rhetorics that are shared by the president of Israel. Like that is more dangerous for the Jewish people as much as it's dangerous for the Muslims. It's dangerous for the innocent. The corrupt, they're sitting in their fucking mansions, not having to deal with any of the ramifications of this. And that's what we keep going back to, is as long as we listen to mainstream media and what they're sharing with us, the more we're playing into their hands. What we have to do is, honestly, it's easy and it's hard. You just have to shut it off and go after humanity and just think with, you already have all the information you need to understand wrong from right. And the wrong is obvious. One child being killed, I don't care where they're from. It's, if they're innocent, even if they're not innocent, it's a child.
And the brutality destroys the fabric of your society, right?
And then and forget about us adults. Those same children who have to go to these schools, now they got trauma that they have to live with for probably the rest of their lives. The mere fact that an innocent soul, an innocent 7-year-old, has to think about this, like you and I have, we experienced it as children ourselves when we were kids, seeing revolution, seeing the original revolution or the aftermath of that, and going to schools, me can't mention that I'm a Baha'i, or can't mention that my mom was in prison for being a Baha'i. Like, these are normal things that you have the right to be upset about, but a government can literally put the chokehold on you and shut you up and take your basic human needs away from you. And for us to not value that in a free country, quote unquote, and just be able to ignore that because we're living in a privileged ass country, that's where I feel when you said, are people seeing this and not, how can people not see this and see the writing on the wall? I am hopeful that we're starting to go that route. And I think the paradigm shift is happening with that sense that people are starting to point the finger at their own government. We used to point it at other governments because we were ignorant, but now we're starting to see it and we're starting to see where this whole thing, we're starting to see it as a world problem, and we're starting to see it as if this can happen in Gaza, this can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's where people are starting to wake up. And so with that, my well wishes and love to anybody who is directly affected as a result of all the crime against humanity. People, just think humanity first. Put all of your beliefs to the side. It has nothing to do with that, as we just discussed. It has to do with saving humanity, and we just have to operate under that notion. And don't take the media seriously, because their whole goal is for you to take it seriously. It's rather take humanity seriously and just operate under, we're all humans, and one child gone, perished, is too many, and we need to focus on saving that.
And until we're at the point where we're able to practice empathy, until we're at the point where we're able to love the other as much as we love ourselves, just do me a favor, people. Next time you see a story, whether it's coming out of Israeli media or whether it's coming out of pro-Palestinian media or whatever you want to call it, even if there's no camps here and it's just you're looking online at different people's stories and they've got different views than you, when you're seeing the individuals that are there's violence being perpetrated against them or they're being subjugated, try to simply just flip who they are. Imagine it's one of your people. Imagine it's one of your children. I saw a video of an Israeli armored bulldozer driving over a Palestinian who was alive, screaming,
Yeah, oh my
and
God.
basically popped his head like a watermelon. And when you look at that, don't look at it as an inhuman Hamas fighter who's wading in filth and beheading babies, because that's all bullshit. Look at it as, what if that was someone that you cared about? I know you don't, but what if it was someone that you cared about that was just being rolled over in a bulldozer? Even if that's someone that you detest and hate, the most repugnant person in the world, that isn't the way that someone should be treated. And the fact that another human being can do that, can ride over them in a bulldozer and murder them in that fashion, says a lot more about that individual than it does about the one that's being squished under the tracks. And we need to be able to do that. We need to be able to put ourselves in that other person's place. We need to also try to use that imagination. We've used our imaginations quite a bit over the last month and a half, month and a bit. Let's use those imaginations to put ourselves in that other person's place and put a loved one there. When I see the shootings that happened here on Friday, I imagine, what if it was my daughter's school? It doesn't matter, what religion, what area of town, what the demographics are, who goes there, what the name of the school is. Imagine it was your child's school and some asshole decided to drive by on Friday night, shoot the school up so that your kid would be worried and concerned and scared and beside themselves on Monday morning. Imagine if it was your cousin, brother, uncle, nephew who was rolled over by a bulldozer. Imagine if it was, your sister who was giving birth and that child needed to be put in an incubator, but there was no electricity. And so they had to basically say goodbye to their baby that they had just given birth to. Why? I don't know, because they were born in the wrong patch of dirt on this planet. So put yourselves in that position. Please try to have a little bit more empathy and look at the actions. Look at the actions, not the people. Look at what's happening. Look at who's dropped more bombs than Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined over the last month. Look at the number of children that have been killed. Look at the fact that in order to get one Hamas fighter, they bombed 400 people in a refugee camp to kill one person. And they call it human shield, something that only Israel ever says. No other country in the world uses this term other than the US to talk about what Israel is doing. So just look at the actions and ask yourself, is what's going on okay? And I'm pretty sure you'll come up with the right answer.
Love. It's got to be your lens, love. And we're all people, and relationships to these people is simply on a human level. So what Mo said is exactly that. Just love people first. the hate is manufactured, and I'll never have enough information to hate on someone. And everybody was born a human. They never chose where they were born. Even serial killers, when they're given their death sentence, the lethal injections are and there's 3 injections that they get, and one of them is to numb you from feeling anything, and that's for a serial killer. So operate in love. That's the answer to this. Okay, love people first. Forget what religion they are. Forget what their beliefs are. All of that is third, fourth on the list. Honestly, it's not important. Let's save humanity. Love you guys.
Thanks, everyone.